You'd be a very optimistic fan to think you're going to win all three games, and then for Aston Villa, of course, just to pick up 2 points in their final two matches. It looks like it will be Villa in the Champions League next season. Frank Leboeuf joins us as we reflect on this game. And
he doesn't want to get booked, Jurgen Klopp. Did you hear that on the commentary?
No, I didn't know.
If he gets booked in the next game,
right,
on the touchline.
He has a touchline ban?
He has to spend his last game.
I didn't hear that, no.
At Anfield in the stands.
Right.
So I'm sure he's aware of that.
He could just be in the cop end with everyone else. He'd love it. Wouldn't that be
that's actually a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. You'd enjoy it much more than the sideline.
People would be upset by that, wouldn't they? Go, oh, look at that. He's just trying to be a man of the people. Oh,
he's not taking his ban seriously. Liverpool, of course, nice win for them after what's been a rough few weeks, but Spurs has got to be the story.
Yeah, it's just a shame for Liverpool they hit the buffer when they did.
Right. That's 4 straight defeats now.
I think Spurs is a story, right, and they're falling away. But and look, I'm not making any excuses here for the manager, but it's his first year, right? And I had a little tit for tat. I'll mention him again, Johnny Blaine, the guy, the stats fella from London, who I touched upon on the show last week. Big Tottenham fan, but I see a lot of this from Tottenham fans, and for me, there's an unbelievable recency bias. And if this had been the other way around, and Spurs had started the season terribly and came like a train instead of doing what they were doing at the start of the season, when people were getting carried away, I think everybody would have been okay. But where I have a problem is, yes, they're in bad form. Yes, they're a shadow of the side that played the first 6 months of the season. But I see these Tottenham fans going, oh, he's been found out, Postecoglou, oh, it's back to how it was, oh, it's terrible. And I'm like, this is modern day supporters.
Right.
It is modern day supporters in a nutshell. These people think that you're going to come in, take over a side that was an absolute horrendous watch, that get rid of Harry Kane in the transfer window, and have a new manager in, who, by the way, most of the Spurs fans didn't want, because we're Ange Howe, he's not good enough for our club. And they're going to finish probably 5th, and they finished 8th last year, and they played great football. So I don't understand where they thought they should be. That's my point.
What's the number one outlier of how well a team does in all pro sports? It's how much you spend. The 4 teams they just lost to all spend more money than Tottenham.
For me,
and then you're arguing that you should be beating the teams that are outspending you. But that's my problem.
Is it the manner of the defeats? That's the problem.
No, I think what it is modern day supporters, not them all, a lot of them just get carried away. When they saw how Tottenham were playing at the start of the season and they were up near the top of I can't remember if they were top.
Yeah, they were top. 10 games.
I can't remember how it all sort of panned out. And I think they just thought, and we all said, most of us on this show said, listen, this will not last. The squad's not deep enough. They're not ready for this, but this is great. It's great to watch. The trouble is a lot of supporters are like, oh, Arsenal win. They might win the league, and we've dropped out. When you're a manager, you go in there, you think, right, transfer window, we do a bit of business, we play the season out, we get progression, which they're going to get. They're progressing in terms of their league position from last year. They're much better to watch. If we're sitting here next year and Spurs are going back the way, then I think there are more questions for the manager.
Right.
But at this point, and listen, I get it. They've got City coming up. They could get walloped. I understand there's a frustration, but modern day supporters really need to give their head a wobble, particularly those that think Spurs are going to be competing with Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City after 10 months in charge of this guy. I mean, get real. It's just not going to happen.
Frank, it's defensively, isn't it, that we've seen Spurs so vulnerable of late? What's going wrong?
It is, but it's not due to maybe Vicario or the 4 defenders. It's due to the whole team, who doesn't put every ingredients to make sure they're going to defend. And you attack at 11, you defend at 11. I think they left it. They lost it. They don't want to put everything to make sure they're going to finish well this season. But it doesn't exist in any club that you are the top and you stay at the top and you are fantastic for 10 months. It doesn't exist. And we saw that with Arsenal last season when they went down. you need to adapt to a new coach, to a new system, and they did, as Craig said, and Casey alluded as well. They didn't spend too much money. They lost Kane, and they had overall a very good season. Yes, it's frustrating what we see right now because you are expecting much more. And maybe Postecoglou will have to rethink the way of playing his football because asking to give the pressure for 90 minutes, it's impossible. So they get tired. It's maybe they're paying the season right now, and it's why they're not as good as they were. And defending he has more effort than when you attack. And that's what it is nowadays for Tottenham. They're suffering. They wish they would be at the end of the season to secure the 5th spot, which is overall very good. But saying that they have a defensive problem, they had many chances to score at the end of the game, and they were at some point very clumsy. So it's everything. And pointing some details and some weakness, I think is not fair to the season that they did and to overall what they are suffering from. I think it's all fact.
I think they've found the level, haven't they, at this moment in time, until they go and do better business. And he outs some of these players that he's inherited, obviously, as most managers do. I think they've found the level. The problem is, and I go back to it, is supporters, when the highs are here, they don't understand why the lows come. They can't understand where the lows come from the highs, and I think it's just all sort of ironing itself out. And in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, maybe other people see it differently, maybe some people think they should be in that mix after a few months in charge with this squad. I think what he was doing was getting more out of them. Well, he clearly was. He was getting much more out of them than most other managers, and that's why fans got carried away. But look, even up in Scotland, they say at Celtic, and I'm only hearing this from some of the journalists, the criticism was, after a while, it started to go a little stale. Now, he's going to have to figure that out. There's no doubt this season has gone a little bit stale at the end, and that's something that ultimately he's going to have to figure out. But for me, where they are is their level at this moment in time.
Well, you have to find players who like to play a particular way. Now, everyone has a style. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And what's always difficult for a manager is to say, hey, Craig, I know you like to play this way, but I need you to do this for me. Okay, I can do that for a match or two, but I'm not doing it the whole season because I'm 30 years old. I kind of have a way the way I play. So when you need somebody to do that, you got to buy them.
Right.
Buy them and put a player in position that does exactly what they want to do, and that's what you want them to do. So if you want to press everything, 90 minutes, then you better go find 3 N'Golo Kantés to be in your midfield and run and run and run and run and run. But then when you have a couple other pieces, hey, can you do this for me? Okay, I'll do it, but this isn't who I am. This is going to come back to haunt you at some stage.
I for one, I'm looking at them, I look at Spurs and I think, do you know what? I'd be quite excited about next year, bearing in mind what they might do in the transfer window. Look at last year, just to name a couple of players in the back four, Van de Ven and Udogie. Udogie's out now for the season. He's injured, he's been a big player for them. Those two guys come in, most people wouldn't even have batted an eyelid and gone, oh, yeah, so what? Udogie and Van de Ven. Been brilliant. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that's down to Postecoglou, they have a recruitment behind, but I think they will go out and they will explore the markets that are a little bit cheaper as they do. And listen, as I said, it'll be a results-based assessment, probably around Christmas time next year. That's where he knows that. Postecoglou, he knows it. He knows when he was at Celtic it was easier. Really had one team to beat, and that was Rangers, in terms of head-to-head. And he knows it's going to be much tougher now, and he knows a lot of, I would imagine, a lot of the end of the season stuff has not been good enough. And he's going to have to address it. But I would be pretty happy, surely, if I was a Tottenham fan, right, that we're going in the right direction. It was an exciting season. It's petered out, but I would be hopeful next year he will fix those things. It's a bit like De Zerbi at Brighton. It's been a topsy-turvy season for them. He's not turned into a bad manager all of a sudden after this. You know, they were riding really high and they went out of Europe I think it's the same thing here for Postecoglou. Whether he's going to be as good down the road as what Klopp was and maybe what Arteta is, and we'll see how he gets on, maybe he won't be that man. I don't know. But I would be quite happy to keep him at my club doing what he's doing.
But Frank's point's very valid, though. You don't keep clean sheets from your 4 defenders and your goalkeeper. Just like you don't score a bunch of goals just from your striker. It's how well you have that balance between attacking and defending with 11 players. And there seems to be, in the last month or so, a disconnect between 11 players wanting to defend and I think I'm just going to...
ragged.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go try to get a goal here.
Of course, Spurs played their part, Frank, but Liverpool were back to some of the best football that we've seen, haven't we, over the, what can certainly compared...
60 minutes?
Well, yeah. No, I think so, compared to what we've seen over the last few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Remember that I predicted a 0-0 because I thought that the two teams would be on holidays. But Liverpool proved me wrong, and they did the job. They were very good for an hour. They were sharp. They had ideas. They were creative. And I want to take Mo Salah as a symbol of something getting good. And remember that Liverpool started to go a little bit down when he got injured, when he came back from the AFCON. And it's really the symbol of how Liverpool works. If he's in a good shape, if he feels the game, Liverpool most of the time wins. And what he created today with his teammates was high level. The last 30 minutes was something else, 4-0. Naturally, you get a little bit sloppy. They made some changes, and so it's maybe natural that you see Spurs coming back. But overall, they've done the job. They've been professional. They pleased the coach and the fans. And it's starting to be nice for the end of Klopp. Of course, they're not going to get what they were expecting, but it's fantastic to see that era finishing that way, I would say.
Liverpool, as you quite rightly say, Frank, not really in the title race. Of course, it is now between Arsenal and Manchester City. Yesterday, both teams registering victories. Of course, Arsenal still have that 1-point lead. They've got 2 games to play. Manchester City with 3 matches remaining. They are favourites to make it 4 in a row. Of course, the first team to ever do that. Let's just remind you who's got what. Arsenal away against Manchester United next weekend. Final game at home against Everton. For City, they're away against Fulham, away against Spurs, then home against West Ham. But we kind of always thought it was who's going to blink first, didn't we, Craig? And at the moment, it's quite a strong argument to say neither are.
No, so that is going to end up
yeah.
with City are in the driving seat in that respect. So hard to see. Both sides look strong, don't they?
Yes,
very strong.
Yeah,
both sides.
Both peaking at the right time.
A couple of little things for Arsenal here and there in the last couple of months that is probably going to cost them. But unless City slip up, I can't see it. I mean, Tottenham are, dishevelled at the moment. They look as if they've run their race. West Ham got pummeled, absolutely pummeled today. We'll get to that. And who was the other game?
Everton is the Arsenal game.
And Fulham kind of...
Fulham. I'm talking about City. Fulham. I'm thinking about City.
Yeah.
Fulham away, I believe it is. I mean, you can never say never. But if I was in the Arsenal dressing room, I would be concerned that
they're going to run the table.
They're just going to run the table.
Do you agree, Frank?
I have to agree. I mean, the past have shown us that City, when they put the 4th gear, at the end of the Premier League, they always get it. Yeah, it's they have to be tuned in for 4 games still, and but they can manage to do so, and they proved again in the past that they can do it. I mean, I want to see what will be the behavior of Manchester United as well against Arsenal, because it's. I think the Manchester United fans will be, I don't know if they'll be more happy to see City winning or less sad to see City winning or Arsenal. I think, again, and I said that last season, City yet doesn't have enemies. Nobody can like Arsenal if they are Chelsea or if they are Manchester United. Nobody loves Manchester United if they are Chelsea or Arsenal. I get those examples. But it's like nobody cares about City. They don't create yet. They are creating yet the history, but it doesn't belong to the past. So the haters, they're not there yet, on the field and out of the field. So I think Manchester United will fight to make sure that Arsenal doesn't get the job. Doesn't get the
Frank,
title.
I think you're talking nonsense. I think if you live in Manchester and you support Manchester United, there's no way you want to see Manchester City do something that your team has never, ever done, and that's win 4 titles in a row. And if you can prove to be the thorn in the side of that, then I think...
Man United haven't got any fight.
So are you saying that Manchester United will... Are you saying that Manchester United players will let Arsenal win to get the title?
No, I'm saying that I don't think the players will, but you're talking from a fan's perspective, you don't have enemies. I think there's definitely enemies between United and City.
I didn't see the interview, but Eric Ten Hag...
What's he done now?
He gave an interview apparently to Gary Neville, and everybody now thinks he's the second coming of Trapattoni.
Oh,
it's like, Gary Neville sat down with him apparently, and everyone in that side of the northwest of England basically kissed his backside about, he's had all the injuries and had this and he's had this and he's forward thinking. I'm like, oh my God, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, it really is. I can't get my head around it.
I haven't seen that.
Can I go back to...
I do like the way you've got Manchester United into this conversation.
Well, the usual busybodies were lauding over it. But let me go back to Man City. The Premier League are a disgrace, right? Once again, we have... And I'm not taking anything away from City players here, or the manager. They're a great side, right? The Premier League are a disgrace. 4 titles in a row. They have 115 charges... But the Premier League are happy to go about with the biggest boxing gloves they've got on and punch the lights out of the Nottingham Forest and the Evertons of this world and Leicester City who are coming back up. And yet, for how long now? They've had 115 charges and yet they've done nothing.
Better lawyers.
It's an absolute disgrace what they are doing to the... We don't even know the relegation yet about appeals and all that goes with it. Right? These clubs, some of them, when they go down, and we've seen it... We've seen Birmingham go down from the Championship to League One. Sheffield Wednesday almost went down with them. 2 clubs that have been in the Premier League. These clubs like Nottingham Forest, Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, they struggle when they go down. Even with parachute payments because of salaries and whatnot. And then we have the Premier League sitting there on its backside, kowtowing to a club with 115 charges. It's not on. I'm sorry, but it's not on, and it just makes a mockery of this
far
league.
from at the races today, but the way things have worked out, it's been a good weekend for them because they are 7 points clear of Spurs with 2 matches to play. Spurs, of course, have got 3 games. You could take a look at the run-in and we can discuss whether or not it's going to happen, but I think it's pretty much guaranteed now that it will be Aston Villa in the Champions League next season. Spurs looking to guarantee 5th in their place in the Europa League. And I think that's fair, isn't it, from Aston Villa, what we've seen this season? Absolutely. They've been the 4th best team in this league.
Absolutely. They haven't been at times as swashbuckling as Spurs, but they've been more of a better hybrid where they've played nice attacking football, but they've been more solid defensively. They've had their moments, of course, where they've let themselves down. They had a great home record for a long period, I think until Newcastle went there and won. They completely battered City at Villa Park. He has done a great job. Champions League, extra money. I don't know how much he'll get to spend, but if the Villa board don't trust this guy, of all the recent managers they've had, they're never going to trust anybody because his coaching credentials and the way he goes about it is excellent, and absolutely they deserve to get 4th, and I think it's the first time in I don't know how many years that they're back in with it. Don't forget they were European champions back in the day. It seems like a long time ago, but yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah, and then when you have them, kind of have those little wobbles, obviously then their nearest contender has gone in a tailspin that could catch them. So that also has benefited. But yeah, I think when you look at both Spurs and Villa, you're looking at 2 sides that, okay, which one of it is going to take it? And it was almost the case of which one of it didn't want to take it. And as a former Spurs player, unfortunately, it was Spurs that had the biggest problem, and then Villa were able to get a result or 2 and then call it good.
Again, Villa were in the title race for a while, but...
Were they?
Exactly, and I think, again, they've found the level, and that's been, that's okay. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, I know nobody wants to... You'd rather finish 1st or 2nd than be up there, but, 4th or 5th, is where they are, and Unai Emery, absolutely terrific.
It's fantastic. I mean, for Villa...
Well, you're the fans, you've got Champions League football this season, it's perfect.
You know, at the end of the season, Pochettino's been pretty defensive lately, and, you know, these are the type of results that kind of get you in the right frame of mind.
It's looking to build up something, isn't it,
Yeah.
to look forward to next season. That victory then puts them above Manchester United on goal difference. United in action tomorrow away against Crystal Palace. So just 2 points off Newcastle. 6 away, though, from Spurs in 5th. Frank, you'd love it if your old boys would play West Ham every week. It'd be easy.
Oh my God, we'll be champion and we'll be fantastic, you know. But and we will never talk about inconsistency, but they did great, you know. Congratulations to Pochettino and the way they're finishing the season. They work hard and it's nice. You know, it could have been, I don't want to underestimate their performance, but it could have been another story if Bowen had scored instead of hitting the post at 1-0. But it is what it is. Chelsea deserved 100% to win. I love the spirit. I love the what Palmer is doing and how he's finishing the season and what he produced for the Arsenal for his first season. Hopefully, he's going to be with the England team for the Euro. Otherwise, it would have been such unfair. But otherwise, everybody did the job. Gallagher is, he's not the perfect, you know, guy you would save that, but he works so hard in the middle of the park. He gives 200% every game that he plays. He scores goals, he defends, he tackles, and everything. I love that spirit. It's the spirit that brings help to the others. It's also a model for the youngest. So I was pleased with the performance, and I was very disappointed with West Ham. You know, especially centre backs and Ogbonna. I think it was not there on the pass of Chalobah for Madueke on the third goal. I think that was crazy. Or the fourth goal, sorry. And Paqueta, Kudus, fantastic players. We didn't see them.
No.
Only Bowen tried something, but the others, I can't believe that. West Ham, they have to show more than that.
I think if there is any thoughts about, and I know there was going to be talk about David Moyes' job has been all season, really, about the style of play and whatnot. But to go back to Chelsea, if there is any thought process about possibly getting rid of Pochettino, and I don't know if there is or isn't, because these people that run this club, you've no idea, right? They could do it in a heartbeat, or they might not. They might not. I don't know. But this end of season spurt helps them to say, listen, young players, you know, starting to hit a bit of form. Give me a bit of time. And even he gave a press conference this week that was a little suggestive that he wasn't sure himself what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so this certainly can't hurt. And just saying, listen, this again a bit like the Tottenham scenario. It's a mess. It's been a mess. You guys have caused it, really.
Right.
And I just need a bit of time. And this at least is showing that he's kind of going in the right direction.
But you know, you talked about this before the season started, you know, down in LA and stuff like that.
Oh, damn, that was a long time ago.
I know it was a long time ago. But what we were doing, we were looking at this. We were looking at
He was
this.
too busy caring for Shaq down in LA.
Saving Shaka's life.
Yeah.
What a hero.
You are a
What
hero.
a hero.
You are a hero. But we're looking at this squad, and we're saying, Frank, is this the squad that you guys had that were winning titles? And you're going, no, this is nowhere near that. Okay, now you're getting some pieces that are coming through that you're saying, you know what? If you can then, you know, bring in a Zola or a Drogba or a Michael Ballack or a Michael Essien or whatever. Now you can bring some pieces in and you can start to maybe have conversations again. But in fair play, how's that going to happen?
Casey.
Yeah, where's the funding to do that?
Yeah, the funding and also the willing of that. I mean, with their trade business idea, it doesn't go into their head. They don't know, they don't understand that they need those players that you named, kind of, and you can find, maybe not paying like crazy money, but Thiago Silva is about to go, you need somebody to replace him. Disasi, Badiashile, Chalobah have a great and a bright future, but they need to be helped by somebody with experience. And I've been screaming about that for the entire season, that in the spine, and I'm not talking on the side, Reece James, Chilwell, well, they've been injured, but they are on the side. But on the spine, you need people like you name, like the Essien, the Terry, the
where's
Zola,
John Terry?
the
Where's
Drogba?
Frank Lampard? Where's that? Yeah, exactly, 100%. And okay, you can bring some nice pieces. Now, you say you know Gallagher and Palmer, and yeah, that's nice. And maybe here, okay, but yeah, Frank, where's those stars?
They need a big striker. I don't mean a big striker. They need a proper striker, and don't care if Nico Jackson scores every game between now and the end of the season. And they've got 4 centre halves, as you talked about. You know, Disasi, Badiashile, Chalobah, and Colwell. So they've got to decide if those 4 are going to be...
Fofana.
And Fofana. If these centre halves are going to be experienced enough. Injury problems for Chilwell, injury problems for Reece James. They've got some stuff still a lot to sort out. Let's see if they do that in the summer.
A word on David Moyes.
His
contract's up at the end of the season.
David Moyes is a real interesting one here. I feel we should get Don on.
Yeah.
Because Don's going apoplectic about this. And I can see both. I really can see both sides to it. Right, look. Where do we sit? Do West Ham play good football in general compared to a lot of the other teams? No, they don't, right? They don't. And West Ham fans are pining to have something more exciting. And I see Don fighting this battle on Twitter with people like, you know, where do you want to be? Exciting football when they're down in the bottom 4 or 5 of the Premier League, fighting for your life every year, maybe getting relegated, which they have been, or a bit more stoic in their approach, but they've won a European trophy. Mm-hmm. They've been in, you know, fighting for Champions League places at times. It is a difficult scenario because I think he's done a very, very good job there. However, the modern day fan for me, I think pines more for something tangible for their season ticket and what they pay, more exciting football. And I get the feeling that's the way West Ham will try and go.